I got an intro song for you this week, though. I need to know what you think of it.
Well, okay. Okay. This-
What we give it? What we give it? You want me to keep going?
I think I know why you asked me because I don't like French Montana personally, but I'd give it probably. That's actually a good bop. I like that. Is he on there with Buju?
No,
Is
it's
that
just him and
Finesse?
Feel. It's Feels the song. Buju just a feature, so he just did another remix with
Oh, okay,
French Montana
okay.
on it.
No, I like that. It sounded good. I give it like a 8.
I
It sounded pretty good.
Spotify is doing this thing where they do like a song of the day, and they just recommend you a song,
Oh, really?
and that was the song they recommended me today, and I was like, oh, I need to share this with Tonio. See what he thinks. See what he thinks.
Bro. I'm just not the biggest French Montana fan, man.
He got
He's been
some
kind of mid
vibes.
to me.
He got
He
some
do,
vibes,
but
man.
I feel like he's one of those people that has like bops because of other people. Like half of the time his bops are because of the other people that are on the song. Like if it was just him on that song, would it be that same bop? I don't know, because if you go look at French Montana's most probably streamed albums, most listened to, what people bop to the most, how many of them are his albums where there are no features on them? Could you really tell me about one of his albums with no features on them? No.
A win is a win.
no,
A win is a win.
no.
A win is
Bro,
a win.
he's bro, at that point he's damn near DJ Khaled. Like he's not even a rapper.
Another
Like,
one. Another one. Another one. Anyway,
never.
how's your week been going? How's it been going? What you been up to?
I mean, I just really been building the website for the clothing brand, but that and still, I mean, looking for a job at this point. I'm kind of just settling with having to work at Ford and then trying to find editing work and then trying to figure out what's wrong with my tooth. But powering through.
You gotta get it pulled out.
They said that I have an infection and it was from the same tooth that got a root canal before. So, I really don't know. It kind of depends on what the second dentist say. They send you from one dentist to the next one. Like,
Yeah, more money. More money. That's how it works.
more money there. They were like, "Oh, we love to see you." I was like, "I know you love to take the money out of my pockets. It's okay. I know.
No, that's real.
How about you? How about you?
Been looking for stuff for the apartment. Like I said, there's still no couch here. I'm gonna get a couch when I get back from Jamaica because we're going to Jamaica next week. Let's go.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much
outside.
it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just looking for stuff for the apartment. Work stuff. Honestly, I talked to Colt. Said he was supposed to go. Like he was planning to go on a trip next week and hasn't bought any tickets yet. So I thought that was interesting. Like he loves buying tickets 4 days before he goes, which is something I don't get. But yes, not much with me, bro. Not that much.
Tax his pockets.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's him, bro. That's cold. But there wasn't a lot of new music this week. It was a couple things that I wanted to get into. First was Dave and Central C, because as soon as we dropped the episode after the little EP pack came out, so we kind of what'd you think about it? The whole thing, top to bottom.
I liked it. I mean, like I said before, I think Dave and Central C sound good together. I wish it would have been a longer project for real. Like I thought we were gonna get like a full, at least maybe like 12 songs, but
Yeah,
it's definitely something I'm gonna be tapping back into. Like something I'm gonna give a couple more listens.
yeah. I saw
Sure.
there was somebody on Twitter that said, no, it was the YouTube comments. They're like, if you like Drake, you like this song the best, and it was our 25th birthday. That song is crazy. That song, because it did remind me of like a 4 p.m. in Calabasas or a 7 a.m. or middle of the ocean record. But I think the best rap is coming out of the UK right now. I don't think it's really up for debate. I mean, I feel like here it's it's more consistent. The best people over there are more consistent than here right now, and maybe that's just because we don't have a lot of rap acts who are rapping at a high level right now. Like our top rap acts are kind of in the latter part of their career, but it's just like nobody's missing right now.
Yeah, I mean they got a lot of guys out there. Like I say, my favorite are probably Nux and Central C, but like Dave, going back to that whole like 4 p.m. in Calabasas type of record. Like I feel like Dave has a lot of those. Like I feel like I really got introduced to Dave through that one song where on the album where he's like lit in the blue flames. Uh, it's like the first song on that album. I wish I could. I'm gonna
Psycho,
try to pull it up. Yeah, Psycho.
Psycho,
That's the song. Yeah, but
yeah,
I feel like he has a lot that are like that, where he just sitting there getting on his introspective type of wave and just really sitting there barring you down. But
yeah,
I could definitely agree with you in saying some of the best rap is coming out of the UK right now, for sure.
yeah. My one of my favorite rap albums that I'm still listening to a lot was Lil Sims. Um,
Hmm.
but she's another one who hasn't really missed recently. I think this little 4 pack, a lot of I saw a lot of people on Twitter in the US talking about it, which was dope because I feel like they kind of overlook a lot of that stuff regardless, just because it's not here. But um maybe we'll get I feel like they're not done. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's gonna be an album anytime soon, but I feel like we're gonna get more music from these two. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. So new there was only a couple other things in new music I really wanted to talk about. First was "Who Told You" by J Hus. Um, I don't want to call it summer anthem because I got like a couple songs up right now that I think could be like the summer anthem or song of the summer, but I definitely think it's up there. What'd you think about it?
I liked it. I really got to listen to it this morning. When I first heard like the little snippet Jay Huss had posted, I wasn't really messing with it. And then I saw the Drake verse coming on, and I heard the snippet a couple more times, and I really liked the bop of it. And I don't know, I gotta give it a couple more listens just because it just came out, but I was liking what I
Yeah,
was hearing. I don't know, I don't know how much I like Drake's verse, but
yeah,
it really sounded like real quick. Like, but I don't know. Yeah.
yeah. J Hus has a lot of the thing about J Hus that I like, and it reminds me of Russ in a lot of ways, is that he raps really well, but then he does really good hooks, and the melodies and the hooks are really dope. So like his last album, he has a couple of those that I like. Um, there's one that goes like, what what is it? I think that's Helicopter. How you gonna run the world? Can't even run your life. I'm Destiny's Child. Every day I survive. No time to plan. I improvise. Like he has these really catchy hooks that rhyme, and it's like you kind of. And so when I heard the song initially, and then I saw people tweeting, I'm like, oh yeah, this could be one of those ones. And I've been listening to More Life a lot the last week or two, and that first
Mhm.
half of the album aged really well. And I remember when it came out, everybody was like, he trying to be like he from the UK. He got all these Caribbean bops on here or whatever. And now I go back to it, songs like George's Interlude or Blem, stuff like that. Like those songs are still so crazy. And it reminds me of that. So I feel like if you like Blem or even the Popcorn song that just came out, Weekend Done, that one was really good. If you like those, I feel
I love
like
that song.
this will grow on you. I feel like he finds these pockets for different types of records. So I think eventually this will grow on a lot of people. But I did see a lot of UK people saying they didn't like Drake's verse.
I can understand that. I don't know. That's what I was saying. Like when I first heard it, I was playing it. Jay House's part came on. I was bopping to it, and then Drake's part came on, and just it just felt like it didn't fit in the song. And
Yeah.
like I said, it felt quick. It felt like literally Drake heard it on Instagram. It was like, "Oh, send me that," and it was like within like a day from just being like, "Oh, he just threw something on it to get on it because he liked the song." Instead of like them working on that together, I feel like that was quick. That's what it felt like to me. But I
I,
mean, they could have been working together before.
I feel like Jay Hus knew he wanted him on this record. P2J produced the beat. P2J's done a
Hmm.
lot of records recently. He did a bunch on this last WizKid album. He did some on the Made in Legos. He did a lot of Stormzy's last album. The new record that Georgia Smith just put out, he did that. So he's been doing a lot of stuff recently. So I feel like he knew when he heard this because I've been waiting for a Drake J Hus record for a while. when Drake went to the UK, and I want to say 2019, he brought J Hus out to perform, and so at that point I was like, oh, okay, we might get something kind of crazy. But like I said, I'm kind of glad they waited for this record. I feel like it just makes sense for all three of them right now. We talk about all the time how we think music is changing, and I think this record is not. I think this is just more evidence to prove that it is changing. I think this is going to do really well this summer, even over here, and we'll see. But I really like the record. I was definitely bumping it all yesterday when it came out. So
Yeah, I gotta give it a couple more listens, but
okay, and then there was another project that came out by Tay Iwar. He released the EP. I don't want to talk about it because I haven't really. I listened to like one or two songs on there, but Tay Iwar has been featured on a lot of albums recently that I really liked. So I'm gonna give it a listen eventually. He was on IDK's last album. He was on um Omale's last album. So there's a lot of people he's tapped in with, and IDK is on this album. So I'm like, I'm gonna give it a listen when I get a chance. But the only other project or music I was interested in that came out this week was Amare. She did the "Sad Girls Love Money" song. She released an album last night, and yo, it's some beats on here that are so crazy. Katie did it. I was not familiar with your work, and I apologize. Man, he kind of went nuts on this project. There's a song on here that I really love. It's called
oh,
um
okay.
let me find it. Let me find it. There's a song on here called Wasted Eyes.
Hmm.
KD did it, produced on here. Feels, the dude who was from the Finesse song, he produced on here as well. That beat is crazy. I love that beat so much. I've been listening to that on repeat all this morning. But I'm definitely gonna give this album a good listen because I feel like how we were talking about Boj last week, where it's like your tone on top of different instrumentation and like how the contrast really makes them work together. I feel like it's the same here because she does sort of that whispery, low tone, lo-fi type of vibe, but the production on here is really big and large. They have a Pharrell sample on here that was really crazy. I'm still trying to figure out what song it was, but I saw Pharrell credited in the writing, so I assume um, it was a sample. But this album, off first listen, is pretty good.
I definitely need to tap into it. I hadn't seen that she dropped, but I do remember you sending me this "Sad Girls Love Money" song, and she was on the K Tronada Amine project. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
She was on Sosa Up. Definitely forgot about that. But speaking of that Boj album, I've definitely been bumping that. Like I since you sent it to me, I've been bumping that. I listened to that a couple times through, and I like
yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
it
Do you
sounded
like
real
that
good.
No Option song? The No Option with our favorite rapper?
Who was on that?
I'm not gonna say his name. I'm not gonna say his
Oh,
name.
dude, yeah.
Yeah, your turn. Your turn. Okay, yeah, say it.
Odu Modu Block.
Yeah. Did you like that song?
Odu Modu Block. Yeah. I mean, nah, nah. That out of all of them, that wasn't the one I was listening to the most. But
Fair.
I still got to give it more listens. I feel like I really don't give music the credit it deserves until I listen to it a good couple of times because I feel like I'm kind of passive sometimes with how much music comes out. I just end up getting passive and kind of listening to the same stuff instead of listening to the new stuff that I wanted to listen to.
I
I
think
feel like
I think that's a good
that's what I might
transition
say
into
too.
the next topic we had though, which was
Hmm.
well that I put on here was favorite albums this year. I said sorta because I had some albums that came out at the end of last year that I'm still listening to, so I count them in
Yeah.
this year. But did you have any time to think about this, or I could go through mine while you think about it real quick?
Go through yours first, just because
Okay.
I want to make sure some of these albums came out when I thought they did. But yeah,
Okay. So out the two albums from last year that I listened to a lot recently. No Thank You by Lil Sims. That came out in December, at the beginning of December. And I feel like, I mean, obviously it takes time to really get through a record. And I really didn't start getting through it till probably January, February. And There's a couple songs off there that I repeat a lot. Gorillas. Um, there's another one on there. Oh, Heart on Fire. That one's crazy. That's one of the best rap songs I've heard in a while. But I talked about this album prior. I just think the instrumentation by Inflow. Inflow is a great producer. He's good at like really doing contrast within his beats, within the song selection, and things like that. And then I think Little Sims is rapping on another level. I think you could debate that she's top five in the UK right now. You probably have like, if I had to talk rappers up there, you probably have Central C, Dave, Stormzy, and I might throw Little Sims in there. But this album is definitely, it's a good listen. It's only 10 songs, but I'll move a little bit faster through these. More Love, Less Ego by Wizkid. I went to see him in concert like right after it came out, so I didn't know a lot of the songs. And when he performed them again at Afro Nation last or 2 weeks ago, the songs hit different because I've listened to a lot of them, and I think it's a good like these albums I'm listening. A lot of them are good listens, start to finish. You know what I mean? I think there were singles that stood out through the first half of the year, but these albums are sort of things you could put on and listen to the whole thing. And then the five albums that I had put at least at the top for me, full projects, The Great Escape by Larry June. A lot of songs off of that make it into my rotation, and I think Alchemist did a good job. I think song selection is so underrated, like how you sequence them in the album, because you hear them differently that way. And I think a lot of them stand out more to me. A lot of the singles that came out prior, I don't want to say I didn't get them, but they weren't stuff I was going to go back to, but they make more sense in the sequence of the album. Amu Kelani by Kelvin Momo. This is an On My Piano album. I've been doing a lot of, I work a lot during the week, and when I work, I throw on My Piano. And so this project, start to finish, really good. A lot of different jazz sounds in it. Um, it's long though. It's a couple hours because they're not really songs. It's more like I don't even know, like a mix almost. Like think about like the mixes they throw together on SoundCloud. Um, but I definitely go back to this one when I'm working. Top Boy by DJ Spinall. That project was kind of crazy. Super producers are running the next couple years, as I've been saying. He had a lot of people on there. Fireboy DML, Black, Stefan Don, Benson, Ashake. Amaray was on that one too. So, and then Time Was by Davido. I hadn't listened to a Davido project start to finish prior to this one, and I get it. We're gonna get into Davido a little bit later because I think there's some interesting points in the petty beef they have going on. I'm not really gonna talk about the beef, but the stuff associated with it. But I get Davido, and it's a really good project. So he has a lot of a lot of different producers on there that I've been tapped in with prior to him. Um, Magic Sticks, who's tapped in with Asha K, and a couple other on my piano dudes, but that, and then a sneaky one that made it in there for me was Fifth Dimension by Stonebwoy. He makes dancehall music, but he's from Ghana. So that interesting take on it, combined with the artist that he had on the features. There's an on piano DJ on there. I think his name is DJ Mayforcia. Mayforicia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. We're gonna work on our pronunciations. But that one, he had Dexa Daps on there. There's a couple other people on there that I really liked, but it was a different vibe. I don't have a lot of dancehall music in my rotation recently outside of Skilly Bang, so it was a good little refreshing mix in. But those are honestly like the 7 projects I've been listening to most.
Okay. I think there's some in there that I definitely have had in my rotation, some that I definitely want to listen to a lot more. I would say the one that really stuck out to me was that Wizkid album. Like, I really love that album. I feel like that one would have made my list if it wouldn't have made yours. And I think he's just crazy. Like, I want to see him live. And there's so many songs in that album that I feel like when I put them on and shuffle, they never get skipped. So, yeah. Yeah. But me personally, had to pull my list together real fast, but some of the albums I would say I'm listening to most, I wanted to start with King's Disease 3.
Okay.
That came out in April of this year, and
That was April?
honestly, that was April of this year, and I didn't even know that. I was confused. It
That
said
feels
April
mad long
24th.
ago.
It felt so long ago, and hold on a second. I find myself listening to Michael and Quincy a lot, which was one of the songs people were really messing with off that. Hood to Hood was really good. Get Light, I feel like Get Light always comes on in my car. That song always has me bopping. And I just feel like Nas has been on a really crazy run. I would even say the album right before it that wasn't in King's Disease was that Hollywood Dreamer,
Magic.
I believe.
You talking about
Magic,
Magic? Yeah.
sorry, Hollywood. Yeah, Magic, that one I really liked too, but that was 2021. That was a while ago. But either way, I would say the next one for me is Love for Rent by Smino. Um, I believe that came out at the end of last year or the beginning of this
So
year. I
did
can't really
so
remember.
did so did King's Disease. King's Disease came because I remember I was listening to it in New York, which was kind of crazy. But that was November. That was
It was November.
yeah. That's what I
For
mean.
some reason on my on my Spotify it just says 2023. So I don't know. Maybe they re-uploaded it or something. I
Yeah.
don't know. But that one, I feel like I've been bumping a lot this year. That's been heavy in my rotation. Smino is great smoking music, great chill vibe music, and I feel like he's just a person I really liked. I was mad I didn't get to see him on tour too when he came with Jid. That would have been great. But another one, Ozuna's newest project, I feel like I'm gonna be bumping that a lot through the rest of the year. So I wanted to add that to this just because like him on Afro beats production and just that type of vibe, I feel like he would absolutely smash that type of music. And his project right before this, Ozutochi was really good too. I've been bumping that too. I would add that to the list, but that came out a little longer ago. Soul Sold Separately by uh Freddie Gibbs. Another one, I don't remember if it came out end of last year, beginning of this year, but I feel like that one has been in
I
my
can look it up.
rotation a lot. Yeah, keep looking up for me, sorry. But that one has been in my rotation a lot. Freddie Gibbs has been one of my favorite rappers since Alfredo. Like his voice I think is the thing that really sticks out to me, like the way he comes on the tracks, his delivery, his vocal delivery is really unique, and I feel like his bars are always crazy too. And then I'll say the last one for me is Me Versus Myself by A Boogie. That came out at the end of last year too. A lot of these I feel like are end of last year for
So did
me.
Soul Sold Separately.
Yeah, I feel like I still have been listening to a lot of stuff that came out end of last year, but yeah,
Was
I feel
that
like A Boogie's album was real
yeah?
good.
I was gonna ask about that because that came when it that came out at the end of last year too.
Yeah.
No,
There
because
was a lot that came out in December. That came out December 9th,
yeah,
I believe.
okay, yeah, because when I was in New York, which was the end of November, he had just did like a surprise show or something like that in New York. In New York,
Oh, really?
he's like that dude. Like the girl I was
Yeah,
with
yeah.
when I was out there, she was telling me she was like, yeah, the concert sold out in like 9 minutes or something crazy like that. Like, but he has a lot of good music. I just didn't even listen to the project. But if it's that good, I might go check it out.
It's good. I liked it a lot. Like he put out before that, he'd only put out like an EP, and the songs off that had been heavy in my rotation. So I was excited to hear this come out, and I liked it when it came out. And I feel like it was still in my rotation a decent amount. I wish I had a better list, but it's kind of what I got.
No, that's a pretty good list. I mean, I think I don't want to say I feel like it's ramping up. I feel like we're gonna when we do this at the end of the year, just for the whole year, we're gonna have a lot of different albums that make it in there that initially we probably didn't think about. I put as I guess honorable mentions. I had Asylum by Uncle Waffles, which is another on my piano album, but that has there's a rap record on there that I really love. Um, Cause I what's it called? Oh, Morocco featuring Milky and Scummy. I posted about this on the Instagram and the TikTok page, and one of them, I think Scummy followed me. She's a rapper, but they're dope. And this is just like a rap record over on my piano. So if you like rap, I would definitely go listen to that because I think that's going to be a trend in the next couple months, probably for a long time, honestly. But I had Asylum on there as an honorable mention. I had Gangster Romantic by CK. I mean by Loj. Sorry, I put CK. Um, that was an EP, but it was only 7 songs. But I really liked it. I feel like there was a lot of stuff on there that I go back to a lot, especially the Canada record, which is not on my piano. I think on my piano is a lot of the music I'm listening to or finding myself going back to. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of that stuff is just stuff you can sort of throw on. And so I find myself putting that
Hmm.
music out a lot. And then Never Enough by Daniel Caesar. That one is really good.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just
I
it's
love that album.
you like it? Yeah.
Yeah,
But there's a lot of music. It's just so much music out, and there's not really a lot. Like if you can't find good music, you're just not looking. So I will say that's a for this year so far. I think we're doing pretty well. But now I want to get into Davido and Burna Boy. I don't think you saw this, but
I did not.
Davido did an interview. I want to say I don't know what day it was. It was in the last couple of days, and somebody asked him like, "Oh, what do you think of the new wave of Afrobeats that's going on?" And uh, how do you think about the new acts coming up? And he's like, yo, I really enjoy the new cats. And he said Burna Boy, Rema, Fireboy DML, Mayor Kun, and Ashake. And if you think about like, you have to be real. I guess you have to be tapped into Afrobeats to know that Burna Boy's been putting out music for about 12 years now, or 13 years now, or something like that. So Burna Boy is not a new cat. So they have like this. They've had this back and forth beef going on for the last 3 years, and Joey Atkin posted on Twitter basically saying that in in Davido's eyes, he can say that because the first two African acts to get signed to the major labels and be quote unquote global were Wizkid and Davido. So it's but at the same time, it's like to say that when he's bigger than you as an artist, pause. It's like it's like almost like it's just a jab, right? And I thought it was interesting because I saw a lot of people on my timeline, and when I was going through the mentions or whatever, saying on both sides of it. And I didn't really have an opinion about how he said it or what he said, but I thought it was interesting because it's more like it's like when did you know? If you know, you know. Are you in the know? Like I didn't really get on the Burner Boy until Twice as Tall, which was 2019. But by then he was probably bigger than Davido and Wizkid. And now, if you look at it from an American standpoint, I think the biggest African artist is Burna Boy. Burna Boy just did 60,000 in London. So I mean, I think it's interesting because it's a thing of like it just shows how big the internet is. It's like you don't know, like you can't say you can say he's a new cat because he just had a last blow up last year, but it's like, is he a new cat in Nigeria? Not really. And I thought that was just an interesting conversation, seeing a bunch of perspectives about it, like, oh, he's new, oh, he's not new, or whatever. I don't really care about the beef part of it. I just thought it was interesting because in my eyes, like I found Burna Boy first. I found Burna Boy first, but in reality it's not the case. So
Yeah, I mean, maybe he just means like the new cats to the masses, I guess, because like you said, him and Wizkid were the first two that really popped in America, and that's probably like the mecca of media and like social media and stuff like that. So it kind of makes sense that he would be like, oh, they're new to this scene, but they're not new to music, or him specifically is not new to Afro beats. I
yeah,
think, but there probably was a little bit of shots in there just because of the back and forth. So it might have just been a little spice. But
yeah,
honestly,
I don't care.
maybe he just meant in the context of like America specifically, or like to the world, to the masses. Like, because I mean, I feel like the name Davido I heard way before I heard Burna Boy. Like, I
You
feel like
did?
I heard, yeah, I feel like I definitely had heard of Davido on some other feature, or like some artist had featured him, like some big artist. I swear he was on some big song
I
that I
mean,
had
he
found
probably was.
before.
He was signed to. If I no, if I'm being real, the first name I heard was Wizkid. "Come Closer" by Wizkid
Yeah.
was the first African song that I heard. Period.
Mm.
But after that, I wasn't tapped in with no African artists until I say Twice as Tall. I love that project by Burna Boy, but Twice as
Hmm.
Tall came out, and then I was like, okay, Diddy on this, I get it. Then it went away, and then I say I wasn't really tapped into any more African music until uh Peru came out. I think Peru came out before last last. It
Pen-
definitely did.
uh,
By
yeah.
Fireboy. I went down that
Uh,
rabbit hole, and then I sort of who came out after that, or who did I start? And then I think I got into Rema and other WizKid stuff and other Burna Boy stuff. But I didn't get into like I said, I didn't get into Davido till this year. I think Davido just hasn't been as active
mm,
since I've been into Afrobeats, so I'm just not a good point of reference for this. But I think this is just gonna be. I keep saying this, but I think it's just gonna happen a lot more. Maybe not the jabs, but a lot of the artists over there are established and have followings already. So once they get on here, people are gonna be calling them new and stuff like that. But what does that even mean?
new to us.
New to
New
us,
to us, really.
legitimately new to us. But yeah, the last thing I wanted to really talk about this week, yesterday, I was on Twitter and Joey Akin, the dude I talk about him on here all the time. He runs Afrobeats Intelligence. He's from Nigeria. He did a Twitter Spaces, and it was in the middle of the day here, but I think it was late at night over there because he was saying that like it was like a late night call, or whatever. And there was only 30 people in there, so I jumped in and I got on the stage and I got to talk to him for a little bit, which was pretty cool.
Oh,
Um,
that's, you should have recorded it.
Yeah, I thought I was going to, but my phone was dying, and it was a whole thing. But I was just like, at first, I was I don't know why, but I was a little nervous because it's like talk. It's so weird talking to somebody whose media you consume consistently, because
Right.
it feels like you almost know them, but then when you go to talk to them, you realize you don't. I don't know this guy. You know what I'm saying? Just I don't call him a random writer, but it's just a dude in Nigeria who puts out this stuff that I consume. And I was telling him about how in terms of sort of understanding Afrobeats, he has been my introduction to a lot of new artists. And I appreciated his journalistic integrity because you can tell a lot of the stuff he talks about, the people he talks to, is stuff he's genuinely interested in. And he asks questions that you can tell he's interested in knowing the answer to. I feel like a lot of interviewers will just ask the questions he thinks that everybody else wants to hear, but he's almost selfish in a positive way, but selfish with his line of questioning when he's interviewing artists because it's like stuff he really wants to know, which makes it a better interview. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I understand him and the artist a lot more. So that was pretty good, cool to tell him that. I think this is the second time. Like I emailed him back and forth a couple months ago. So like if you understand marketing and touch points, like this is my second touch point with him. So at some point I'll be able to actually, yo, I need the interview or whatever. But then I told him about my favorite artist, who was Benson, and he recommended me some music about Omale that I haven't heard yet. So I'm definitely going to give that a listen and come back and talk about that. And then afterwards, I got to ask him about Travis Scott and Bad Bunny and Rema to see what he thought about it. And he acknowledged that a lot of the African songs that are out right now are also on the dembo beat that I talk about all the time with dancehall and reggaeton, which is like you can't really miss with it. And he just kind of agreed with me saying that he thinks that if Travis Scott were to do like an Afro beats type of record, it would definitely like push the scene a lot further. But a lot of his messaging has been about like as it grows bigger, he's nervous about Afro beats having the same trajectory as like dancehall. They got a couple Afro dancehall artists like a Sean Paul or a Sean Kingston, whoever, and then they got big. They took the sound, and then they sort of just was like, get out of here with that. So he talks about that a lot, but it was just dope to talk to him for a little bit and hearing him talk about how he worked within a lot of bigger organizations for a lot of his first half of his career, and people at these companies. He was also talking about politics in Nigeria, which is like a touchy subject, I guess, and you can't really talk about that and work at these big corporations. And so everybody at these companies were like, "Yo, you should just do it on your own, do it on your own." And he kept saying at first he didn't think people were gonna listen, and people kept telling him like, "If you make good stuff, people will listen. If you make good stuff, people will listen." He kept saying that, and I felt like I didn't even mention this. You know what I'm saying? I was just sort of talking about what the topics were, but when he kept saying that, I felt like he was talking to us or talking to me. I'm like, you put this stuff out, people will listen. Like he was like, bro, you're in Florida and I'm in Nigeria. Like that's crazy. That's even crazy just to have that little exchange. So that was a really cool moment I had yesterday, and it was random because I just happened to be scrolling on Twitter and seeing this face, and I just jumped in. So I just want to
That
talk
sounds
about that on
like
here, but yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like right place, right timing. But I definitely agree with them. Like I feel like the good stuff always shines through, especially when it comes to like music and media and stuff like that. Just because there's a lot of people trying to do it, and I feel like us specifically, I don't know if I already said this, but I feel like we got in this specific niche of music and talking about it at the right time because it's about to blow. Like I feel like it's really about to blow up, and I feel like we are one of the only platforms sitting here talking about Afro beats, reggaeton music, and music from around the world, and not just what's going on in America. Maybe that's just because we're here and that's what we get to consume a lot. But I feel like we're few and far in between, or when it comes to like, there's few podcasts who are doing what we're doing. So
I agree with you. I think we're on the right trajectory. I think this week I just started making a lot more, and I don't know what it was, but I feel like this snowball we started. I think us starting with once a week was really beneficial. Like it didn't set the bar super duper high. Whereas I think with everything else, the reason I've been falling so short is because I set the bar so high. It's almost like you have to set the bar high enough for you to jump and get it. And then once you know you could jump and get it, set it a little higher. And so I
yeah.
feel like us doing once a week has helped me like sort of figure out a similar cadence and like, okay, I can up this, I can do this over here. Like the fact that now I can get to two a week on YouTube for long form and then have the clips and stuff. Like I feel like I'm starting to get a rhythm, and I agree with you. You know what I mean? I think the two biggest Afro beats podcasts, which are is interesting enough to me, the two biggest Afrobeats podcasts are people who were in within the industry at some point, right? I think Joey Atkin worked for a label at some point, and then there's another podcast called the Afrobeats Podcast that's had basically anybody who's in Afrobeats except for I think Burna was haven't been on there, but everybody else has been on there.
Mm.
And he's tapped in with like he was at Afro Nation with the dude who started and ran Afro Nation. Like they went together. Like he's tapped in with the industry in that way. And so I think from I guess a fan's perspective, a listener's perspective, um, are we critics? A critic's perspective, I think we're creating our own lane. We're creating our own lane. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Me too.
What? Okay, so we're finishing off this week. I want to do again a song of. I want to do again a song to leave people with, and then I'm going to highlight a producer who I think
Dang it.
needs some. Bless you. No, you're good.
Thank you.
I'm gonna
My
highlight a
fault.
producer who I think needs some recognition. So give us a record if you have one. If not, I got one.
Actually, I do. I didn't even get to send you this, but there was a song called "London" by Tomi Agape. I had never heard of her, but Afro beats, good bop. And it's definitely something you guys should check out. I was liking that. It's been in my rotation the past couple of days.
Okay, I haven't heard that one, but I'll definitely give it a listen.
I think you
Uh,
would like it.
okay, and then the record I'm gonna give actually some underground hip hop shit because you know that's who I am. Um, Limbo, Static Selecta put out an album last night. I didn't listen to the whole thing. I've only listened to two records
Oh,
off it, but the Russ record is
appreciate it.
crazy. Yeah, the Russ record is crazy. The Joey Badass record is crazy. But the record I'm gonna give them is Limbo by Static Selecta. I feel like when Russ gets on features like this and what other song or a Chomp,
Oh,
yeah, no, it's fire. It's a lot of people on there. Um,
that's crazy. Okay.
Producer I want to highlight Magic Sticks. He is I want to say he's Ashake's personal producer. I don't want to say that's his producer, but I think he did the entire last album. The On My Piano record. It's called On My Piano with Olamide and Ashake. He did that record. He did New Religion. He's done a lot of that stuff. He did some stuff on the Davido album. Um, he did pray. He did pray. I'm pretty sure. Let me double check that. But if he did pray, pray is one of my favorite records of the year by Benson. So let me double check that before I say he did that. He did. So if you can find records by Magic Sticks, I'll put a playlist on our Spotify and our Apple Music and our Audio Mac because we on there now too. But
Oh,
yeah, Magic Sticks definitely a producer to check out. And I want to just say I think if you like certain music, the artist on top of the music might not be the only reason you like it. So looking at the producers and what they made, you might find a lot more songs that you like because a lot of the times the beats dictate how good the song is. So I would definitely look into Magic Sticks.
yeah. I would say somebody who I actually got put on with was the person who produced Stars by Jid and Yassine Bey. He produced another song by Isaiah Rashad. Um, I believe his producer name is Bad Bad Not Too Good, something like that, something along those lines. There was
Yeah,
three
I see
credits
it.
on there, but yeah, he produced something on Isaiah Rashad's last album, and I feel like the sounds were really similar, so it makes sense that I liked both songs. But
I wonder what
yeah,
else they made. Oh, it's a band.
it's a band.
Bad Bad
I
Not
thought it
Good
was
is a yeah, they're a band. It's a group of people. They probably I mean they have a lot of they're an instrumental band, so they probably did a lot on the record. So
yeah, no, because I saw him on TikTok. TikTok was he was on there showing how he produced the beat. So
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Well, that's it for us this week. It's a shorter episode, 40 minutes. We got more for you. Well, we'll be in Jamaica next week, so there might be some pre-pro. It might be a little evergreen content for you guys if you know what that means. If not, look it up, do your Googles. Um, but we will be back next week because we're always back because we don't miss weeks.
Consistency is key. That's the big key.
Let's put some music on the way out.
Go ahead, French. Hey, happiness.
I'm dead. We'll see y'all next week.